Welcome to Community with Closers. I'm your host, Pat Clark, and this is where closers are born. Get ready for high-energy stories, game-changing strategies, and the relentless pursuit of success. In each episode, we dissect the art of sealing the deal, celebrate triumphs, and explore the grit that defines salesmanship. This is the ultimate podcast for sales warriors ready to conquer the business battlefield. What's up, Community with Closers? We are back with another amazing episode. As you guys all been waiting for, we have an amazing guest today. But before we hop into that, we got some amazing news. I don't know if you guys saw my last post. We got Sales Boost. We don't ever give away free tickets, but when we do, we make it epic. And so this is a $2,000 value. So you guys need to hop over to my page and sign up. Just say I'm all in on Sales Boost because we want you guys here. Like the podcast, like we can give you a lot of free information, but we show you hands-on at salesboostlive.com. We do the live event. It's in North Carolina this year. And we're going to go do hands-on. We're going to walk around. We're going to do a commercial bid, what I look for. And, you have a lot of peers there, right? That are going to be pouring in too. So you're going to get a lot of info from this event, the lineup, the speakers, the food is going to be amazing. The location is amazing. There's so much amazing stuff going on that you got to be there. But without further ado, I want to introduce a really good friend of mine, Deland. This guy, I'll tell you what, he brings the American flag hat. That's what I'm talking about. What is up, brother?
How you doing?
I am doing well, man. I'm pumped up, dude. We got Sales Boost next week. I'm flying out in the morning. I'm going to Texas, so I need to borrow your hat, by the way. But yeah, dude.
You know what real cowboys call me with this, right? All hat, no cattle. That's what they say.
Love it. It.
I'll be at Sales Boost as well. I'm excited to go.
That's what I'm talking about. Is this your first time?
My first time.
Dude, yes,
yeah.
You are in for a treat. So I'm going to kick this off. I'm going to actually share this out to a couple pages because we want to get some people on here tonight. Okay. But what we're going to do, Deland, is we're going to kick it off with your story. You can, take it from wherever you want, the beginning, how you got into exterior cleaning. I know we put on the bio just a little bit about how you got into it. So yeah, take it off, man. And I'm going to share this out while we're doing it.
Cool. So I graduated high school and I went into the military. And after I graduated basic training, I went on a 2-year mission for my church in Kentucky. And one of my buddies out there, we don't get paid for our religious stuff. So my buddy had a window cleaning business that he sold to go on a mission. And I was like, a window cleaning business? And I just didn't know because my parents were divorced. We were poor, always on welfare. You know the story. And so I was like, how does that happen? So when I got off the mission, he became my buddy. And I was like, hey, can you tell me how to start a window cleaning business? So I bought Steve Wright's How to Do Residential Window Cleaning Business, who's the creator of the Customer Factor. And I bought his online course. And I was in Utah trying to read it and figure it out. And my wife and we got pregnant. And she's originally from Florida. So we decided we wanted to go out to Florida. So when we went out to Florida, it was like 2006. And then we built up the window cleaning business. I started out trying to do commercial work, but like $15, $20 was really rough.
So you were doing the route work. You were going door to door, trying to get the routes and build up the route.
Yeah, I was begging people, giving them my card, and be like, can I wash your windows? How much? Oh, $12. And then I got my first. We were living at my wife's sister's house in their living room, and I got a sign made, and I put it out in her yard. And somebody called from it, and it was my first residential window cleaning job, and I made like $400. Ooh. And I was like, screw route work, I'm just gonna do residential work because there's all the windows are in one place. I don't got to drive everywhere.
Yeah.
So then I sold that in 2010 because I saw that I thought at the time that the more money I could make the higher I had to go up on the buildings,
Mm.
and I didn't want to jump off buildings and clean. So
That's interesting. So you thought you would make tens of thousands if it was a, high rise.
right, yeah,
Got
I
it.
don't even know how much those guys make. You know?
Oh, they make good money. Yeah, I know. So we did Hubble Lighting here, and it's a decent building. It's only 6 stories, but they do that building for 15,000,
Dang,
and they do it in 2 days. Yeah.
not bad.
Yep.
Wow. They repel off the edge work, right? Off the edge of the building.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they
Yeah.
repel.
At the time, I just didn't know. So I got hooked up with I started watching Howard Partridge with Clean as a Whistle. So
Yep.
I went to his training, and I became his first franchisee outside of Texas. I was his second franchisee.
What? No
Yeah,
way.
yeah. So
That's pretty
then,
cool.
so because I'm really smart, I ended up not listening to him with all the stuff he was telling me to do, and I couldn't afford paying him his royalties and keeping the family alive. So I signed all the paperwork and everything. Behind closed doors, this guy goes, "Hey, don't worry about it," and just let me walk away, just like
Wow.
that.
Dude, that's Howard Partridge, dude. He's got a huge heart. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I mean, he had me by everything legal, and he just said, "Yeah, don't worry about it," and just let me
Wow.
go.
Man,
So that I was
what a
really
blessing.
grateful about that. Yeah. So then from that, I started doing carpet cleaning, and then people asked me to do tile and grout cleaning, so I learned how to do that. And then I got all my education, and because I knew how to seal tile, they asked me if I knew how to seal pavers.
Mhm.
And so then it was outside. So then I started doing pressure washing outside. So by the time I met you, I was offering about 22 different services. And
I remember
and
that.
when yeah, and so we asked you to be our coach, and I knew the question was coming, and you came to me and you're like, "Bro, we've got to isolate your services and get rid of so many different services." And
Yeah.
so I was really scared, but we eventually cut down all the services. I got rid of the interior cleaning, and we just focused on exterior. And I think that first year, like the year prior, we did like 500,000, and then the next year we jumped up like 20%. I think we went up to like 711.
By
Because
cutting your services. So, like, we have a lot of people watching. This is so key. Become, you gotta stay in your lane. So let's talk about that just a little bit because I feel like in the very beginning, you do whatever it takes to pay the bills. I was there, man. I was there. I had 3 trucks. It was just me, and I'm like in the mold remediation truck, in the soft washing truck, in the hot water pressure washer, you know? So talk to me about that. Like, what were you? I mean, you wanted to diversify, but there was, you know, money coming from all angles. What did that?
I if a customer asked me to do something, I would just say yes. I think my biggest sale I ever made, a residential sale, was I think it was 20. I have it written down in one of my books. It was like $26,000, I think, for a residential sale. And we did all the exterior, all the interior, polished the stone, epoxy grouted the bathroom showers, like dry dusted everywhere. And
Mm,
it was crazy. It was good if I had it working, but it was too many moving parts, and I couldn't do it all. So when we streamlined, the guys were kind of like, I could just teach about one thing. And then when I didn't get it right the first time, but we started to match our equipment, same types of pressure washers in every trailer matched. And I'm not trying to make it sound like I did it right from the very beginning, because I did not, I promise. But when I started to get things streamlined a little bit, then our marketing messages were easier. We started to measure and track everything, just like
mm,
everybody told me all the time. And so that's how we started to make more money, is we started to just, because if you're doing carpet cleaning, and then you're doing window cleaning, and you're doing pressure washing, and then you're doing roof cleaning, what do you tell Google to advertise? Or what do you put on your yard sign? Or what do you put on your business card? Or how many services do you put on your truck? And
yeah.
then you look like the guy who doesn't know what he's doing and has like a billion different services.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Right.
Yeah.
So that really helped us out, just focusing our message.
Mm.
So that was helpful.
Yeah, I remember going through that process with you, and like instead of having to spend $400 on tile and grout, like you put all your resources into one thing, and not only did you grow by 20% just by making that one switch, you were able to train better, you were able to simplify your training, and I think that's really key because you
Hmm.
said it earlier, you said I couldn't do it all. Because
Yeah.
you were the guy. You were the only guy that could do the tile and grout. You were the only guy that could do these specialty services. So I always talk about, simplicity scales. How simple is your business model, right? Training. And so you started doing training, and I want to touch on that a little bit because, you were training techs, right? You were doing the sales, correct?
I was doing the sales and I was training the technicians. And my son one day came to me and showed me this thing online, and my brain is not working right now. But I created games online, and so that the
Yeah.
guys could. I created all these questions, and then the guys would play games on their phones on the TV. And so that was one way that we tried to keep the training interesting. But it was just constantly training over and over again to get things better and better.
Yes. And that's what it is. It's always training. So with that being said, with training, I mean, you had the marketing dialed in, and I want to touch on the marketing too. You're training, you're kind of doing all the things. You're in that spot, right? Like, oh man, it's like purgatory, right? Like
Yeah.
it was tough. You're doing all the things, you're marketing. What was that like?
Yeah, that was rough. So I had one experience where we cleaned for InSync's manager, so Justin Timberlake's manager. And so we went over to his house. We were polishing his stone, and he walked over. He's like, I went to his back office. He let me go back there, and I could see his MTV Music Awards with InSync and Bye 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 and all that stuff on there. And I was like, this guy's legit. Like, this is crazy. And actually, funny story. When I was younger, my brother actually toured with NSYNC, and I never believed him because he always told like stories. And so I asked him, I was like, "Do you know my brother Dante?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know Dante. How is he doing?" I was like, "Wow, I guess my brother wasn't lying when he toured with him back in the day."
That's
So
awesome.
one day I got creative. I saw this funny meme online, and it was Lionel Richie, and he said it was he has a song, "Is It Me You're Looking For?" And so someone changed it to, "Is It Clean You're Looking For?" So I thought that was hilarious. So I created a postcard, and I sent that postcard out to all my customers. Well, my office manager got a phone call from somebody and said, "Did you get permission to use Lionel Richie's face on your postcard?" And I was like, "No, I don't. What's?" She said, "No, it was just a joke. We're just trying to, you know, sell the service." And she's like, "Well, did he give you permission?" I'm like, "No." So I'm gonna give him a phone call, and I'm gonna tell his people and let them know. And my office manager's like, "Oh, okay, go ahead and do that, sweetie." When ladies get upset, they're like, "Okay, sweetie, okay, honey." So
Yeah.
she's like, "Go ahead and do that, honey." That probably pissed her off. But I
Yeah.
think it was his wife that called Lionel Richie, and uh, a couple days later, I got an email from the attorney saying, "Cease and desist. You're ruining our customer's brand. You owe us $30,000." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this for real?" And I like looked up on the website. It was a legitimate website, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, $30,000." So I was like,
Dang.
"I'm really sorry. I don't know what to do.
Mhm.
We're just a small company. We're just trying to make payroll. Please forgive me. If
Yeah.
perhaps you could get Lionel and me together on the phone, I think we could hash this out and we could talk it over." But I'm really glad he didn't see this other postcard. I had me in the middle with like the
Mhm.
leaning on the cover, and then Michael Jackson leaning on the cover, Luther Vandross leaning on the cover,
Oh
Lionel
my
Richie
word.
on the cover, another guy I can't remember his name on the cover. So I was really glad they didn't see that postcard, or I would have been sued by like three other people. But
Everybody.
eventually it went away, so that was fun.
Oh man, dude. I mean, the message though is hilarious. You know what I mean? Like those are things that you do and grab the customer's attention. And so
Yeah.
you do a lot of postcards, right? And those you get really good results from.
I just do it for my current customer base. So I get really good results from the current customers. My referrals go up.
Right.
and my repeat business goes up. Because if they don't not going to use me, but I'm still top of mind, I let them know I'm still in business. Joe Girard, I think he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the greatest salesman in the world, non-fleet category. And he, back in the day, he used to write handmade cards out to his customers, and he eventually had teams that were sending out cards to every single card or every single customer that he sold a card to every single month. And he said he got to the point where the postage
Wow.
alone monthly was more than what guys would make in a year.
Good
And
night.
he sold, I think, on average 6 cars a day, non-fleet.
Wow.
But that's why I wear like this hat and stuff, is because there's a lot of
Mhm.
pressure washers around. So I have a hat, I have a collared shirt on, I
Mm.
got I got nice jeans, and I got cowboy boots on, because I always thought to myself, is that purple cow principle. For those of you who don't know, is like one guy said, I was in the city and I always wanted to see a cow, and so he drove down the street, or he was going to go on a trip, and he in the country, and he's like finally saw a cow, and he's like, oh my gosh, look at that cow, look how big it is, and all the snot and all this stuff, and he said about 15 minutes later, after he saw all the cows, he's like, well, if you asked me what a certain cow looked like, I wouldn't remember, but if you
Yeah.
asked me if I saw a purple cow, I would have remembered that purple cow. So that's why I dress up as a cowboy, because there's nothing scary about a cowboy. Cowboys like are there to save the day and are the good old boys. And so I wear this because one day I went to OBT, which is like a scary part of Orlando. And I went to the 7-Eleven because it was so hot, and I was buying drinks, and then I bought a hat, a sun visor hat,
Hmm.
and it was an American flag sun visor hat. I've never had so many people comment on my on that hat. They loved it. And I was like, this is just it was overpriced. It was like $37, but like this is just a American flag cowboy hat from 7-Eleven, and I'm getting all this attention from these customers. So that's why I dress like this. I'm just trying to be different, because they're
Boom.
going to get all the different quotes from everybody. And so they'll be like, hey, you remember that one cowboy that came in? He was a really nice guy. Let's give him the business.
Yes, it's so true though. Like, oh my word. I talk about that actually a lot with my foster brother. He would go into the deli and he would just like he would say things that differentiated himself, right? Just the
Mhm.
way he talked, just the way he like, talked to that person and made them laugh. Um,
Yeah.
and it really sticks because he left his wallet one time at the deli and they knew exactly who he was because
Yeah.
of what he said and his tone of voice, all that stuff. So that stuff that really really matters. A part of your brand that sticks out because they're gonna remember that, right?
Yeah.
Or you're
I
gonna
had
be in a YouTube video and then they see you did
yeah.
the quote and they're gonna see you on the YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly right. I had this one lady. She was a French lady. We got done cleaning her place, and she's like, "Oh, Dylan, everything looks so beautiful. Thank you so much." And she's just old French lady, and I was like, "Okay." And I said goodbye like 4 or 5 times, and she just wanted to talk, and so I was about 6 or 7 feet away from her. She goes, Dylan, tell your beautiful family I said goodbye and I love them so much. And she takes her hand and she kisses it, and she blew the kiss towards me. And I'm seeing this kiss go up in the air, and I didn't know what to do because the kiss was going to reach me. And so I reached out. I didn't know what to say. I caught the kiss, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I went, and I rubbed it on my chest. I said, "Oh, thank you so much. I'll see you later." So I got in the car, and I called my wife, and I said, "Hey, I got something to tell you. I think I got kissed by an old French lady today." She's like, "What?" So I told her what happened, and we both had a good time. But
Oh, that's
that's what I love
hilarious.
about this business is I love customers, I love people, I love goofing around with them and stuff. So that
Yes.
makes that makes things fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know you run into all things and you're like, how do I handle this? Yeah. It's like you put it on your heart, you know what I mean, or something.
Yeah,
You know? That's funny.
yeah.
So with that being said, man, so we're getting into sales. So we got about 10 minutes left. So I want to like make it super impactful. So when you started getting your sales, like your production, you're training them and getting off the truck, sales, what did that look like for you? That first hire for the salesperson?
So my first hire, I transitioned one of my technicians over to a territory manager,
Yeah.
and I always thought that good salespeople were good teachers, and I still believe that, but I think you have to like almost care about the sale more than the customer does. Because
Mm,
one of our company values is we protect customers from information that they don't have. And so I'm really big on like trying to educate customers.
yes.
So my first sales guy, although he was really nice, um, I don't. It's almost like, and I'm not trying to talk bad about it, but like it's almost like sometimes employees are like water, and they're gonna follow the least what is that? What is the word? Least train of resistance or least track of resistance, and
Yeah.
they're gonna go and fill in all the spots where you don't fill in. And so I did create all these parameters, and he did kind of sort of meet the minimum, but it was just like just barely over the minimum, and there was just no
Mm,
fantastic, wonderful thing. And I just got so like annoyed at that, and so I let him go, and then
mhm,
I hired another guy who I thought had a little bit more of an animal instinct. He didn't work out.
mm,
That was sad. And then and because I spent like a whole week with them, 2 weeks with them in the car, and then I let him go, and then I monitor. So
yeah.
they didn't do well. Then I hired one guy who came to me as like a office manager, and then because he sucked as an office manager, I moved him over to a territory manager. And then I
Yep.
found out he sucked as a territory manager, so I moved him over to a technician. And then I had to get rid of him because he sucked as a technician.
Dang.
So I was like, man, I don't know what these people look like. So then my last hire was pretty decent. I would say he
Okay.
was in like the 75 percentile. He did
Mhm.
everything I asked him to do. He had a little bit of bite to it. Um, and then and then to be honest with you, I finally got my P&L done. Thank you very
Mhm.
much to Dan Plata.
Yeah.
I finally got my P&L done, and I realized, wow, I'm losing a lot of money. I was
Mm,
like, this sucks. I'm losing a lot of money. This really sucks. I got a good guy, didn't do anything wrong. I'm paying him 12% on sales that the company gives, and 15% on things that he brings in on his own.
mhm,
And I found out that I wasn't making enough money, so I had to let him go.
mm,
And now the company's doing better because we're saving 12%. So now it's back with me doing the sales, and I kind of like me doing the sales. I mean, I envy guys who can build a really big team, and I really tried to do it, and I probably will do it later when I
yeah.
have proper planning. But it's been a journey to try to find a proper territory manager. I think I had two other hires, territory managers before that last guy that didn't work out, but
Mhm.
the last guy went over to AC Locklear over here to at locally to work for him,
Yeah.
and AC found out that the company was going to hire him, and so AC, these guys are amazing. These guys who talk all the time, like you and Howard Partridge, AC, they're actually like genuine people. AC contacts me and says, "Hey, are you sure you're okay with me hiring this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Because if you don't want me to hire him, I won't hire him." And
Yep.
so then the little devil popped up on my shoulder, said, "Do you want him to hire your territory manager?" And then the little angel over here is like, it's okay. So, but I thought that was really nice, really respectful.
Yeah. That's the way to do it. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I structured the territory manager with a draw versus commission. So it kind of helped me. It made me feel good because we paid them $15 an hour, which was $600. So if they didn't make over $600, then they would still get $600.
Mhm.
Um, so if they made $400 that week, they'd get $600, but they would be in the hole basically $200.
Yeah.
So if their commission made up more than that, then I would take that $200 away, and then they would get their commission. And
Got
that made having a territory manager not hurt so much,
it. Mhm.
because there was times in the past where they didn't sell very well and they just got paid hourly,
Mhm.
and I was just paying out too much money. Like in the slow seasons,
Yep.
I just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of my struggle with that's been my struggle with territory managers.
Got it. Yeah, no, it's definitely tough because like if you're doing hourly, you know what I mean, and you're paying them but they're not selling, that's like the worst part because there's no fire under their butt. So there's different ways of doing it. And it's interesting to hear like, you know what I mean, because you tried it, right? You had them in, they didn't work, and you're still figuring it out, right? Because your first one is always the hardest. Like for me, it was the same
Yeah.
thing. I took my lead technician, brought him into sales, and like he was selling, but he was selling them for too cheap. And then we really started diving into our numbers and we're like, ooh, we got to raise our prices because, you know, when it's just you and you're like, we're comfortable, right? Like you're saving that 12% that goes back on the P&L. And so when you start introducing new payroll, like you got to make sure your prices are aligned with that to be able to afford those people, especially if you're
Yeah.
doing it hourly.
Yeah, but I'm curious, like, how do you suggest, because you can get a lot of money when you go and do sales and you offer all your services all at
Mm-hmm.
once whenever you do an estimate. Like that's how you get like big time money, and you can raise a ticket. But
Yeah.
how do you suggest owner operators do it who are still on the truck washing but need to do estimates as well? Because like currently I'm just the estimator and I got my guys doing the work. But I was thinking to myself, man, if I ever have to go back onto the truck, I wouldn't know what I would do to keep up with the estimate. Do I just do it over the phone, or I was just wondering what your thoughts were.
Exactly. So that's the thing is like over the phone is going to decrease your average ticket tremendously. So you have to go down to a 3-3 model. So you have to sell 3 days and work 3 days.
Oh,
So you're doing full-time sales because this is what happens. You get in the owner operator trap and then you're like, I'm back on the truck. I can't do sales, or you're running sales appointments till 8-9 o'clock at night. And I've talked to people who have done this before. And then, you know, you're the last guy there. You're dirty. You're tired. You're like, dinner's done. Here's the quote. See ya. Right. And then it's not as effective. So you have to have a dedicated salesperson. So if that is you, you have to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sales, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, work. And you're in that for a time. And then you got to build it up and then hire, right? You have to, and you can't replace you yet. You have to get a second territory manager. So you're selling and he's selling. Because if this is what happens.
yeah,
Have you had this happen where you hire a sales
bro,
guy and you're like, take all my sales, and then the
bro,
whole company goes down?
bro. I did exactly that, and I've heard you
Oh,
say it before. I did exactly that every single time. Every
dang,
single
you
time.
cannot. Yeah, you can't do
Every
it.
Pat, every time I did it when I had a territory manager. And now I know because I had the lowest in my bank account ever was negative $8,000 in my bank account in one
I've
day.
been there.
It sucked so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at my family and my house, and I'm like, this is horrible. How did I get here? And then I just start to remember all the good stuff that I kept hearing and I didn't do. And I'm like, man, if I
Mhm.
ever hire a new territory manager, I can never give up the sales until it gets to like I got enough leads to have two guys going. I got to have
Correct.
at least two guys. I don't know if that's correct or not, but at least two guys selling plus me to be able to relinquish my sales.
You have to because look, territory managers thrive on competition. If you have one guy, they're going to blame everything on you, right? Because you're back at the office, you're in the sweet spot, approving their quotes, but you have to have fun competition. So you never give all your leads to one person. They need to be a hunter, not, a lead runner. And so when they come into a territory, yes, we're going to market to that territory through Valpak, a bunch of things, direct mail, flyers, yard sign, you name it, right? We're going to do that. And we're going to give them some leads, but they got to go get the rest. They got to knock on 5 doors for every quote they do. They have to put out 2 yard signs for every quote they do. And they're following the model, right? And then you do the same thing. And your territory will slowly shrink as you hire new reps. And so you book up one truck. That's you. You could book up maybe 2 trucks, right? I could book up 2, maybe 2.5. And that's it, right? I'm the bottleneck at that point. So then I knew, I was like, okay, great. I need another sales guy. So I would take my lead tech because nobody was like, you pressure wash, okay. Can you make some money doing sales? Maybe, right? They didn't know. And so until I started really graphing and out in the warehouse, you see all our numbers. And so he was my first, lead sales rep, if you will. And then I had a track record. I said, well, he's selling this, and, he was a technician. He's never in sales. You're in sales. You could, possibly do this. What did you do before? And then boom, you get that second guy. Then you have 3. And then after 3, it's you and 2 other guys. And then once you have 3, you need to replace you at that point. Then with 3 sales reps, you become the sales manager.
Yeah, I so did not do that at all whatsoever. And there was times where I would just sit at the office and I would just get so sleepy because I was so bored. I had nothing to challenge me with. And I thought I was like building this company and I'm doing this. I got a territory manager. I got my guys out there. And then I come to the office and I'm like,
what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. I was like, man, there was times where and I would like work throughout the day, like when stuff would come in on WhatsApp or I'd answer questions, I'd go out or whatever, but there was large blocks of time when I could have just really been productive. I did not do it correctly. I remember you would coach me. I would have this humongous problem that was here. Mm-hmm. And then I would tell you about it. And then you would say something stupid that made me mad. That was the truth. But you're like, oh, you just have this problem. And I'm like, screw you. But then you were right. It's like, I do just have this problem. I just have a hiring. Yeah. And you identified the problem. Like, oh, you just got to fix this. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. I talked so much crap behind your back in the most polite way possible. It was crazy to my wife. And she's like, well, Pat's right. So you figured out the model, and I didn't follow it recently in the past. So that sucks.
Well, it happens, you know what I mean? But the good thing is, like, it's always fixable, right? You know it now. We all kind of know it. It's hard though, right? Like business is hard. And sometimes we think it's bigger than it is. It's just like when a customer calls you and the world is ending and you got bleach on her one leaf on her rose, right? And you bleached it out. But guess what? You killed all the landscaping around her house. It's the same thing. We do this with, as business owners, and, we make these things a mountain out of a molehill. When reality, you need somebody that's outside, when you're in the weeds, that's like, hey, actually, no, just turn left, turn right. And then you're there. You're right there the whole time,
Yeah.
But I think, and you touched on a really good point, because you said, you get to a point in your business and you were at like 90,000 a month, I believe, right? When you were like, you didn't know really what to do.
Yeah. What do you mean? At what point was
when you were coming in and you were like, I could have been more productive, but you're like, really, what is my job description at that point? Because you had sales, you had production kind of cruising. And
we were hitting like 80s on a regular basis, 80 something. Yeah. We were close to
a month. Yeah. And what happens is we get caught in this, because I've done it too. You go through these stages, these plateaus, and you're like, shoot, you need to revamp your job description, because you were the technician and that's easy, right? Would you agree? Technician is easy. Like, you do the work, you're done. When you're a business owner, and you're the visionary, it never ends. You are always looking at the next, stone that you got to flip to get to the next level. And so what I mean by that is, like, when you go through all those job descriptions, you need to reverse engineer what a $2 million company looks like, and then move yourself into that job description. So for you could have moved into commercial, and you could have focused just solely on commercial work while your residential team is out there killing it, dragging it home residentially. And then you're working on the bigger stuff. You're going to the golf course and playing golf, with CEOs.
Yeah.
At that point. And that's where it's really going to transition, because there still is things that you are doing as a leader, right? Running meetings, morning huddle, showing up, right? Because you got to hit them on the button, send them out, looking at marketing, guiding the ship, but not in the day-to-day. But I think we get confused because we're like, shoot, we need to be in the day-to-day. I need to be like kicking butt and taking names. But in reality, we're not necessarily doing that front line.
Yeah, there was times when I was sitting in the car driving, and I'm like going in between appointments, and when I first let go of my guy, and I had to like write down everything, and like get all the stuff done, like production, marketing, admin, sales. I was doing everything, and I'm in my car and I'm heading to an estimate, and I'm like, man, I'm getting a lot of crap done just in the car. Like this is a lot of stuff that I'm getting done. Like I don't need to be in the office. Screw the office. The car is my office in between jobs. And I was just really moving, and I was like, this is where I come alive. I come alive in between the appointments, talking to the team, texting, WhatsApp, all that stuff like that, getting stuff done. Hey, telling my VA, work on this marketing piece, send me a copy so I can look at it and approve it, change the color here, change the text. And I just felt very productive while I was in the car. But I just, in the office, I get so sleepy and bored and tired. And I think that's where my biggest mistake was recently of the mini that I have, was I gave up the sales too fast. And now, when the first week back, guess how much I sold the first week back? $18,000.
I was just gonna say, like, probably 19 grand,
Yeah,
19K.
yeah, 18. I was like, man, this one. I walked into this lady's house recently, and she was like chattering and telling me what to do, where to go. Nice lady, bossy. And then normally I like to sit down, I like to go through the thing, And then she says, when you're done, just come in. So I come in, she sits at her big old desk.
Oh, she's doing all the work for you.
Yeah, and she like had me sit on her like chairs on like 10 feet away. So normally I like to go line by line, but I just like plopped my estimate on there, said my spiel, and I was like, well, the green package is basically all of it. So if you want to just get it done, we could just do that one. She's like, yeah, let's do it. Wrote me $5,200 in a check, paid for everything, walked out the door. I was like, man, this is what I'm talking about. And then I didn't even walk to the car. I floated to the car. I was like, this is what I like. This is why I like being a business owner. Yes. Great.
That's amazing. Yeah, and you're gonna have them that way sometimes. You know what I mean? With the system, how you answer the phone, like there's so much that goes into it. In this day and age, with so much competition out there, you have to be at like sales boost, right? You got to be doing the things you're doing, Deland, because not everybody's going to be like that. But when you are setting yourself up for success, with the buyer's guide, with all these things that you set ahead of, boom, they're gonna be like, all right, let's do it. You show up in a cowboy hat with an American flag, done deal. Done deal, dude.
Done deal. They couldn't even say no to me. The next person didn't even know what was going to hit them. They couldn't even say no.
They couldn't even say no. They're like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, it's so hard to find happiness sometimes in life, and we're so lucky because we can actually like go out, meet different people, give a great service, see change. Like that's so good for our soul. We just see something, we approach something dirty, we know what to put on it to make it clean again. And all the time we're seeing stuff that's dirty, that's clean, dirty, that's clean. What a great, hopeful, wonderful life we have.
It really is, dude. Like it's rewarding. You know what I mean? Like they come out, you painted my house. I'm like, no, just my magic wand.
Yeah. It's just sodium hypochlorite.
That's exactly right. Dude, well, it's been amazing having you on. We definitely got to do some follow-up shows for sure. I like to keep it simple, short, you know what I mean? That way somebody can listen to this on the way to the next job site. So we appreciate you, Deland, pouring in, man, and keep the good fight, dude. You will get your sales rep. You'll get the system dialed in. I would just say reverse engineer, man, because you have all of it. You got the goods, you know what I mean? So reverse engineer your sales process and then train on that, right? You have the confidence because you can go in there and train somebody and sell a $5,200 job all day long.
Yeah. So. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate everything you do for me and do for everybody else.
Yes, sir, man. It's an honor to give back because that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah. Totally. Thank you.
All right, brother. Well, appreciate you. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in to Community with Closers right here, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. We're hopefully not going to miss it. But next week, guys, we do have Sales Boost. So that is the only day I'm going to be missing Community with Closers. But we will be live at Sales Boost. So make sure you guys come out. Deland, I'm super excited. I'm going to be hanging out with you. Bring the hat because we're going to be doing some on-site quotes, baby. And I'm going to need you to be my right-hand man closing these deals.
You got it, baby.
We got to show them how it's done.
I just want the commission. Just want the, I
All right,
need the commission.
I'll have to talk to my boss. All right, everybody, have an amazing night, and we will see you next week at Sales Boost Live. Take care, everybody.